A woman in a white gown walks a long red carpet toward two figures seated on thrones. A noble woman whispers that the mad princess has arrived to marry a barbarian. The princess, with long white hair and determined blue eyes, looks ahead resolutely. She knows her very life and death are on the line with this union. Gossiping onlookers speculate she's not afraid of the monster and might even beg to return home. She inwardly scoffs at their assumptions, knowing she would never have started this if she planned to yield. She thinks of her betrothed, the feared Marquis Rodrian of Ronheim, as a voice asks, "Chloe, do you consent?" Chloe is resolved to survive in Ronheim and flourish like a poisonous flower. "Yes, I consent," she declares, remembering those she loved who ultimately killed her. A flashback begins, introducing her as Chloe Idelian, once a princess of the Oriental Empire. She recalls her brother and his mother, her stepmother Kavala, recognizing it was an inevitable outcome. The imperial law of the Oriental Empire, which allowed multiple wives, is highlighted. She remembers being born only after the empress suffered miscarriages, making her an obstacle to them. After her mother died, a young, grieving Chloe was silenced by a mysterious hand. Her brother comforted her when she was a child, giving her a reason to live. Over time, he manipulated her with feigned concern, eventually arranging a marriage for her. A feeling of utter desolation washes over her, his condescending words framed as concern echo in her memory. She remembers how others looked at her with scorn and judgment. To them, she was seen as having gone mad, just like the Empress. After her mother's suicide, Chloe was sold off in marriage to a viscount 20 years older than her. She recalls thinking the marriage was arranged to save her, as her brother had promised. After 10 years of a nightmare marriage, she fled to seek help from a man named Andrea, who coldly dismisses her. Chloe looks at him in utter disbelief and whispers, "Brother?" He complains that she is now a bother to him as well. Standing over her, he coldly tells her to quietly die for his sake. He smirks, informing her that she wouldn't have survived returning to the Viscount anyway. He cruelly tells Chloe that everyone would finally be happy if she, a burden, were to die. Chloe desperately pleads with her brother, asking what she did wrong, as he stands with a drawn sword. He mocks her ignorance, laughing at her distraught expression and calling her a fool. He cruelly reveals that he and his mother drove her mother to madness, comparing Chloe's face to the Empress's on her deathbed. As his sword begins to glow, he declares there's no reason to keep her alive to avoid suspicion anymore. He gloats that it is fortunate an idiot like her will never become emperor. A slash cuts through the air as Chloe whispers her brother's name in horror, Andre. She lets out a final gasp of agony. Chloe jolts awake in bed, stunned and confused. Because she was certain Andre had killed her, she clutches her chest, searching for the fatal wound and wondering if she miraculously survived. She questions if it was just a nightmare, but the memory of Andre's face is far too vivid. A maid enters with a tray, as Chloe feels a phantom pain, and the maid asks why she is awake. The maid chides her for not calling for help upon waking. She continues scolding Chloe for fainting during a meal, assuming the marriage talk was too unbearable. Confused, Chloe questions the maid about the engagement they're discussing. The maid complains while Chloe realizes her old palace, which she remembers being demolished, is perfectly intact. The maid remarks that a viscount is a suitable match for a princess like her. Chloe listens with growing alarm and confusion. She shakily asks if the marriage being discussed is with Viscount Pelsis. The maid scoffs, confirming the engagement and worsening Chloe's shock. As an hourglass shatters, Chloe realizes the truth of her situation. At the moment Andre killed her, she was somehow sent back 10 years into the past. She despairs, wondering if she is fated to repeat her wretched life and be murdered by Andre all over again. A sudden jolt of fear as Chloe resolves to never return to the hell of her previous life. Realizing she knows the future, her mind races to find a method to change her fate. A new resolve settles over her as she decides to write a letter of apology to the Viscount. With an ornate pen, she begins to craft the letter that will change everything. She steals her resolve, planning to use a specific person to escape the imperial family. The Prince of Ronheim, a defeated kingdom's ruler now serving as an imperial governor, is introduced. She seeks an ally whose interests align with hers as a messenger eagle delivers a letter to the prince. He receives the anonymous letter, noting the sender's name is conspicuously absent. The mysterious scroll immediately makes him wonder if something has gone wrong while he was away. Reading the letter, he's shocked by the mention of a secret moon garden. The sender mentions Reckness flowers and offers a great reward to see them, catching his attention as an aide looks on. He clenches his fist around the scroll as he reads the sender's tantalizing offer. The anonymous sender's identity will be revealed if he attends the Lover's Day celebration at the palace. In her room, Chloe anticipates his reaction, knowing he must be wondering who sent such a letter. He decides the truth will be revealed soon enough, accepting the mysterious invitation. He barks orders at his men, commanding them to reorganize and ride for the capital at once. With a determined gaze, he thinks to himself that he looks forward to the meeting. The scene shifts to the Imperial Palace Gardens on the night of the Lovers' Festival. Standing before her mirror, Chloe knows the fateful day for her plan has finally arrived. Her thoughts turn to Callias Rodrian, the man whose cooperation is the key to her entire plan. The fateful letter, the catalyst for her scheme, is shown once more. She knows that, as the Mad Princess, Callias is her only hope for survival. Shaking off her fear, she tells herself there is too much left to do to get scared now. To steel her nerves, she recalls her brutal past, including being beaten by her barren husband. She remembers the bitter cold as Andre stood before her with his sword drawn. The truth of her mother's death and her burning desire for revenge give her strength. Entering the grand hall, she vows not to let the intimidating atmosphere shake her resolve. A murmur spreads to the ballroom as guests spot the arrival of Marquis Rodrian. The nobles gossip about Callias, remarking on his fierce reputation and questioning his presence. They mock his proud demeanor, calling the former Prince of Ronheim a shameless barbarian. Vicious rumors spread as partygoers sneer, wishing the dreadful man would just leave. An unseen noble scoffs at him, dismissing him as a mere puppet of the Empire. Hearing their whispers, Callias inwardly dares them to say it to his face. Weary of the contempt, he lets out a frustrated sigh, admitting he never would have come, if not for the letter. The mystery of the Moonlight Garden and its flowers was a lure he simply couldn't resist. He recalls the letter's contents, promising a great reward for a glimpse of the flowers. The Rekness flower is revealed to be a magical plant that turns golden under moonlight. Callias knows the truth. There are no actual Rekness flowers growing in Ronheim Castle's garden. He realizes the flowers are a code for his newly discovered top-secret gold mine. Frustrated at finding no clues, Callias decides to leave, just as he hears whispers about Chloe. Guests react with alarm as Chloe, the Mad Princess, walks past Callias unattended. Her eyes lock onto him from across the room as she realizes her target has arrived. She confirms it's Callias Rodrian and feels a surge of triumph that her letter worked. Steeling herself, she acknowledges this is the first time they will meet properly. She remembers how Andre relentlessly tried to destroy Callias in her past life, but he always survived. She walks toward him, convinced that Andre's obsession with him makes him the perfect partner for revenge. Callias watches her determined approach with a look of slight confusion. With a disarming smile, Chloe steps forward and greets the Marquis formally. The two finally stand face to face in the crowded ballroom. Callias is startled by her directness, while Chloe tells herself not to rush her plan. Chloe asks Callias for a flower, testing to see if he understood her coded letter. Onlookers gossip, questioning if the princess even knows the romantic meaning of her request. The tradition is explained. On Lover's Day, giving flowers means giving your heart. Chloe calculates that even a refusal will be dismissed as just another scandal between them. Callias remains silent for a moment, his hand hovering over the yellow flower on his coat. To Chloe's shock, he kneels and presents the flower, confirming the code, the Moonlight Garden. Overjoyed that her plan worked, she gratefully accepts his silent message. Chloe takes the flower, cementing their secret agreement in the middle of the ballroom. Realizing they need to speak privately, Chloe notices the judgmental stares and embraces her Mad Princess reputation to create a diversion. Thinking everyone wants her gone, she deliberately trips herself to give Callias an excuse to leave with her. Chloe clutches her ankle, putting on a convincing show of pain. As Callias watches, nobles whisper about her fall but refuse to help, fearing her madness is contagious. Disgusted by their cruelty, Callias decides he has no choice but to intervene. He effortlessly lifts a stunned Chloe into his arms, shocking the onlookers. The crowd murmurs about the strange sight of the barbarian acting knightly for the Mad Princess. Callias carries her away from the prying eyes of the court. Callias admits he was skeptical she sent the letter, but her performance just now confirmed it. Holding the letter, he formally acknowledges her invitation. He calls her plan interesting, making Chloe momentarily fear he has seen through her entire scheme. Callias confirms that he's well aware of her manipulations. Relieved, Chloe smiles and states that she has been waiting for him. Callias cuts to the chase, asking what she wants, his presence feeling more intimidating in the moonlight. With a nervous smile, Chloe proposes a deal. She takes a steadying breath before making her bold move. With unwavering eyes, Chloe asks Callias to marry her. She then adds her audacious condition. She wants his newly discovered gold mine as a wedding gift. He scoffs at her wanting both marriage and his mine, but Chloe, expecting this, asks if a single mine is enough to tempt him. She cryptically hints at knowing secrets, flashing back to how Andre kept her close, inadvertently making her privy to his schemes. Chloe explains that being treated as a mad puppet allowed her to overhear vital information. She drops her first bombshell. His new mine isn't actually producing any gold, she continues, revealing that she also knows he plans to sell the worthless mine to a man named Earl Elvern. Callias is stunned, demanding to know how she has this secret information. Chloe states this is only a fraction of what she knows, preparing to reveal something that will truly capture his interest. She warns him that selling the mine to the Earl would be a catastrophic mistake. Chloe delivers a grim prophecy. The deal will cause Ronheim to be stained with blood once again. Her past knowledge reveals the Earl's treachery. He would gift the land to Andre, who would then launch a devastating surprise attack on Ronheim. She exposes Earl Elvern's cunning plan to use the land as a gift to curry favor with Andre. Chloe explains the land's strategic value as Ronheim's only connection to the outside world. She warns that if Andre controls that route, the entire empire will fall under his complete control. Intrigued, Callias questions the Earl's motives, giving Chloe an opening. Chloe reveals the Earl is trying to gain favor with Andre, the future emperor, who already sees Callias as an obstacle. Callias expresses disbelief that Andre would plot against his own sister, the princess. Chloe dismisses the public perception of their bond as nothing more than carefully crafted rumors. Callias flinches slightly, beginning to process the weight of her claims. Chloe presses her case, asking if her information has now made their marriage seem like a worthwhile proposal. Callias questions her motives, pointing out that she seems to gain nothing from this arrangement. Under the moonlight, Chloe's expression is one of pure determination. A maid's voice calls out for the princess, threatening to interrupt their critical negotiation. Chloe gives Callias an ultimatum, telling him to meet her tomorrow if he accepts her deal. As she turns away, Callias watches her go, promising that he will be waiting. Standing alone in the moonlit garden, Callias is interrupted by a voice calling out to him. An aide rushes to his side, explaining they were searching for him. Callias sternly corrects him, revealing his name is Alex, and warns him never to call him Prince, where the Empire's spies might hear. Alex offers a quick apology, and Callias tells him to be more careful in the future. Callias declares their business finished, but secretly decides there's something he must investigate. He quickly dismisses Alex's curiosity, saying his thoughts are nothing of importance. His mind flashes back to a memory of a young Chloe following her mother. The memory continues, showing a sweet, smiling Chloe holding a flower in a beautiful garden. Later that night at his estate, Callias gathers his men, assuming everyone has arrived. He stands before his loyal knights and demands to know if any of them spoke of the Garden of the Moon to an outsider. Alex speaks for the men, vehemently denying it and proclaiming their unbreakable loyalty to Ronheim. Callias accepts that his men are loyal and ponders how Chloe could have obtained such secret information. He concludes he will learn the details soon enough once he is by her side. A thought bubble reveals his musings. Chloe must have her own complex circumstances. He also notes his surprise that she didn't seem to recognize him from their past. He recalls asking Chloe why she wanted his gold mine. Her simple, elegant reply echoes in his mind. She wants it to make a flower garden. Alex offers to investigate her motives further, but Callias declines the offer. Musing to himself, Callias believes the princess is still genuinely fond of flowers. A knowing smile crosses his face as he seems to accept her story. The scene shifts back to Chloe's room as a brush glides through her long silver hair. While a maid styles her hair, Chloe thinks that she has done everything she can. All that remains is to wait for him. She anxiously wonders what Callias is thinking now that he knows Andre is a threat. She recalls Callias's fierce devotion, certain he would do anything to protect his beloved Ronheim. The true problem, she realizes, is her brother Andre, who is surely on his way. The maid snaps at Chloe for fidgeting, complaining that she needs to finish her work and leave. The maid continues her tirade about the trouble Chloe caused by leaving the banquet, prompting a reflexive apology from Chloe, who immediately regrets it, reminding herself to stand strong. Chloe abruptly stands, startling the maid, who is still holding the hairbrush. The maid questions her actions, but Chloe dismisses her, giving her permission to leave. Chloe suddenly remembers that this particular maid was sent by the Empress. She recalls how after her mother's death, All of her loyal childhood servants were driven away. A flashback shows a younger Chloe being attended to by a new maid as she remembers they were all replaced by the Empress's people. The maid's harsh tone returns as she tells Chloe to stop being difficult and just face forward. Still brushing her hair, the maid mutters under her breath, wondering what has gotten into the princess. Chloe quietly congratulates herself on her newfound strength, just as Andre storms in, shouting her name and furiously demanding to know why she left the banquet with Callias. He looms over her, enraged, and questions her sanity for causing a scene when she is about to be engaged. Chloe looks at Andre with cold resolve, thinking of him only as the man who was once her brother. While Andre complains about the public embarrassment she has caused him, Chloe reflects that she used to be terrified of him. Seeing his uncontrolled rage, she feels a sense of certainty about her path forward. Unfazed, Chloe calmly looks up and greets her furious brother. A confident smile appears on her face as she boldly declares she is no longer afraid of him. Stunned by her calm demeanor, Andre stammers her name, asking if this is really the time for a polite greeting. Andre continues his rant, calling her a fool and demanding to know why she is suddenly acting so reckless, while Chloe remembers a different time. She recalls her past self, who foolishly believed Andre's harsh words were a sign of concern. But he now questions if her illness has worsened. Andre continues his verbal attack, bringing up their mother's influence and questioning Chloe's sanity, a tactic she recognizes well. Though his words are harder to stomach now that she knows the truth, Chloe clenches her fist, refusing to break, and explains she simply didn't want to attend the ball alone. She places her hands over her heart, putting on a show of distress. Andre's anger softens into a condescending smirk, as he tells her she won't have to force herself to attend banquets anymore. Leaning in with false sincerity, he declares she is his top priority, promising she will be married and out of the palace soon, a lie Chloe sees through completely. Chloe realizes Andre's feigned concern is a lie. He only wants her gone, and is furious that Marquise Rodrian has tarnished his name. Andre instructs her to remain quiet until she marries Viscount Pelsis, assuring her he has already smoothed over the incident at the ball. Holding her chin, he calls the situation a shame, while Chloe internally wishes he would just break the engagement himself. Leaning closer, Andre insists everything he does is out of concern for her well-being. Chloe is silently disgusted by his false sincerity when an attendant bursts in, urgently calling for His Highness. Andre demands to know what is happening as the attendant stammers the name Marquis Rodrian. As Chloe and Andre react in shock, the attendant formally announces that Marquis Rodrian requests an audience with the princess. A flashback shows Chloe's ultimatum to Callias to seek her out the next day if he accepts her deal. Callias enters the room, his presence calm and commanding. After Callias formally greets them, an irritated Andre questions why Marquise Rodrian has arrived without notice. Callias's golden eyes hold a steady, unreadable gaze. Andre dismissively tells Callias that an unannounced visit is unwelcome, and he should leave. Panicked, Chloe realizes Andre is trying to ruin her one chance and knows she must intervene. Chloe steps forward with a bright smile, explaining to Andre that she invited the Marquis for tea to thank him for his help. Looking at Callias, Chloe puts him on the spot, asking him to confirm her story. With a knowing smile, Callias smoothly agrees with the princess's explanation. Andre looks between them, passive-aggressively commenting on the trouble his sister must have caused. Feigning resignation, Andre announces that he will excuse himself. As he leaves, Andre warns Callias that his sister is engaged and they shouldn't meet privately again, wishing him a pleasant visit with thinly veiled contempt. Now alone, Callias and Chloe face each other in the ornate room. Chloe apologizes, expressing her relief that Andre backed down and she didn't lose her opportunity. Callias observes her with a thoughtful, slightly surprised expression. The two walk together through a bright, sunlit garden path. Chloe notes their surroundings, confident that they are far enough from the maids to speak freely. She is startled when she realizes Callias has moved silently to stand directly behind her. Finding her composure, Chloe asks if his visit confirms his acceptance of her marriage proposal, noting his intense gaze. Callias affirms that he believes the marriage will benefit him as well, surprising Chloe. He looks at her intently, stating that first, he wants to hear her plan. Chloe explains that her first step must be to break her current engagement to Viscount Pelsis. Callias instantly tells her not to trouble herself, leaving a stunned Chloe to wonder at his confidence. She silently questions if he possesses the power to break her betrothal on his own. Chloe stares up at him, momentarily speechless at his decisive intervention. Her shock is evident as she processes his unexpected words. She observes his expression, thinking he seems genuinely concerned for her. Callias asks if she is truly prepared for the harsh life and rumors that come with being his wife. Chloe replies confidently that just as people gossip about him, they will soon gossip about her as well. Callias listens to her response with a serious, unwavering expression. Stealing her resolve, Chloe tells herself not to fall for his kindness, convinced it's a ploy to avoid future trouble. With newfound determination, she declares that she is ready to leave for Ronheim immediately. A slight smile touches Callias's lips as he accepts her wish. He takes her hand and gently kisses it, leaving Chloe momentarily breathless. In another part of the palace, a furious Andre storms down a corridor, enraged that Chloe dared to meet with Callias. Two guards attempt to stop him, but he angrily shoves them aside, demanding they get out of his way. Andre violently kicks open a set of doors, making a forceful entrance. A woman, the Empress, sits calmly inside, chiding Andre for his disgraceful behavior. Andre complains to his mother about Chloe's defiance, clearly agitated. The Empress calmly gestures for him to lower his voice, reminding him that others are listening. After demanding to know why he burst in, she listens as Andre reports that Chloe is acting strangely. The Empress lets out a small, knowing smile upon hearing the news. Andre worries that Viscount Pelsis will cancel their useful engagement, but the Empress smiles sinisterly, seeing an opportunity. As a carriage wheel clatters, the Empress's voice reassures Andrea not to worry. The Empress smirks at Andre, telling him she has the perfect solution to their problem. A flashback reveals Chloe's proposal to Callias, asking for his gold mine, confirming she was the one with extensive knowledge of Ronheim. In the present, Callias is astonished, realizing Chloe knew about the newly discovered gold mine. He recalls her knowing the gold was from a different mine, and that he planned to sell it to Count Elburn. Callias questions how Chloe could possibly know these secret details, and where the information could have leaked from. Standing at his desk, he decides that despite his many questions, one thing is certain. Callias concludes that what matters most is Chloe's desperation to leave for Ronheim immediately. He remembers a younger, happier Chloe, smiling brightly while holding a yellow flower. Another memory surfaces of a joyful, upside-down Chloe clutching a pink flower. He reflects on the irony that she is asking this of him, a person she doesn't even remember. His memory shifts to 12 years ago, when he first met her amidst the fiery ruins of Ronheim after it was invaded for its relic. The flashback shows a young Callias tenderly embracing a distraught young Chloe. A younger Callias vows revenge, noting the Empress of Arental, a known black magician, coveted the relic. He narrates his infiltration of the Imperial Palace for revenge, only to be overwhelmed by exhaustion and despair. A young, innocent Chloe appears before him in the palace. His narration concludes that at his lowest point, he met her. A startled young Callias is discovered by young Chloe, who notes that his location is rarely visited. He fears he's been caught. Deciding to lie to the seemingly innocent girl, he claims he got lost from his parents. She readily believes him and offers to guide him out, making him suspicious of her true motives. As she leads him away, commenting on his appearance, he plots his escape. Young Chloe kindly offers him strawberry candy, having heard his stomach rumble, leaving him embarrassed. Annoyed at being charmed by a child, he resolves to escape and calls out to her. He is momentarily captivated by her bright, innocent smile. Looking into her dazzling eyes, he recalls thinking he might have been falling for her innocence. He nearly reveals his full name, but catches himself, realizing he's losing his composure as she questions him. When she asks if his name is Cal, he quickly agrees, relieved he almost didn't reveal his real name. Suddenly, he spots his target, Kavala, and freezes, realizing he's finally found her, but is overcome with hesitation. He considers attacking her from behind, but is paralyzed by the fear of failure and certain death. As he moves to strike, Chloe grabs him, pleading for Cal to stop, leaving him stunned and wondering if he imagined her voice. A narrator's voice dismisses the sound, suggesting a window was opened by the wind. As Kavala and her companion depart, a reflection shows Chloe holding Callias back, her intervention unnoticed. Chloe's voice warns him that using his sword will get him caught by the guards. She tearfully begs him to stop, afraid of losing her first friend, and offers to help him escape, causing him to tremble with emotion. Thwarted by her sincere concern, he listens as she urges him to survive for the future. He relents, realizing his death would also erase his brother's memory, and cries, calling himself a coward as she takes his hand. Outside the palace, they part ways, promising to meet again as adults. They seal their promise by exchanging a single pink flower. The two children stand together, holding hands under the light of their shared promise. Back in the present, Callias muses on the false rumors of Chloe's madness, concluding it's a plot to isolate and kill her. He resolves to rescue Chloe, the one he owes his life to, before continuing his own quest for revenge against Kavala. A knock sounds at his door as an aide announces himself, and Callias grants him entry. The aide, dressed in a military uniform, steps into the office. Callias asks his aide for a report on the tasks he assigned. The aide, identified as Viscount Brantient Cliff, reports on a rumor that Marquis Callias Rodrian knows the location of the relic's key. Callias commends Cliff for his efforts, encouraging him to continue his work. He worries that this new rumor will complicate his plans by encouraging others to search for the relic. Callias knows Kavala will act on this rumor as she possesses the relic, but not the key needed to activate it. He dismisses the concern, stating that a few more exaggerated rumors won't change the overall situation. Cliff listens to Callias's confident declaration with a silent, concerned expression. A man with dark hair speaks to his friend, stating his intent to speak his mind as an old friend named Cal. A military officer argues passionately that Cal will be used as bait and put in obvious danger. He continues to plead his case, expressing his deep concern for Cal's plan. Cal listens calmly, then earnestly begs his friend not to do anything dangerous, fearing he can't lose him too. A faint smile appears on Cal's face as he explains his previous caution was due to a lack of solid evidence. He tells his friend that this operation will finally confirm whether Kavala possesses the relic, forcing her to make a move. Cal reassures him, confident the Empress won't harm him until she discovers the identity of the key. He predicts that Kavala's next move will be to try and plant a spy near him. The scene shifts to a rainy night outside a tavern, where a voice calls out to a rookie. Inside, a hooded figure questions a younger man about the Saintess's relic, noting the presence of Ronheim Knights. He explains that a special key is needed to awaken the relic, and only one person on the continent knows what it is. With a serious expression, he reveals that the person who knows the key's identity is Marquis Rodrian. The younger man praises the now-revealed Rodrian, remarking that he is truly the Saintess's son. The rain continues to pour outside, setting a somber mood. In another location, a woman in a dark dress speaks with Rodrian, intrigued by the mention of the key. A sinister smile crosses her face as she confirms a rumor and resolves to seize the key from him. Under a blood-red moon, she speaks the name Callias Rodrian with menacing intent. She declares she will acquire the key from him, even if it means she has to kill him. In a sunlit room, Chloe stirs, waking from a restless sleep. She presses a hand to her forehead, exhausted from yet another sleepless night. Sitting alone in her vast room, she reflects that she hasn't slept properly since she regressed. A wave of anxiety washes over her as she covers her mouth. In a painful memory, she sinks into a dark abyss, reliving the moments of her death. The vision torments her with the images of those who betrayed her in her past life. She agonizes over her foolishness, questioning why she never suspected their treachery. Her reflection shatters as she is overwhelmed by guilt, believing it's all her fault. As she weeps, she remembers a being who always saves her, a voice that calls her name, Chloe. She thinks of her old friend, a boy whose body never seemed to grow. Back in her room, Chloe wonders where he is, just as a familiar voice calls out to her. A young man with dark hair appears and warmly embraces a relieved Chloe. The boy explains the situation is sudden and tells Chloe she will be surprised by someone named Cal who resembles him. Chloe tells him not to worry, reassuring him that the marriage is her own choice. Clenching her dress, she feels a pang of sadness at their impending separation, unlike in her past life. Looking up at him with a blush, Chloe softly says his name, Cal. Cal gently chides Chloe for still having a worried look on her face. He dismisses her concerns while she internally admonishes herself for being foolish, despite this being her second life. Chloe manages a small, determined smile in response to his encouragement. They sit together on the edge of her bed, continuing their quiet conversation. Cal smiles, reassuring Chloe that he knows her better than anyone and that recent troubles were not her fault. His heartfelt words bring tears to Chloe's eyes as she whispers his name, moved by his faith in her. Cal pulls her into a tight, comforting embrace. They share a tender moment, holding hands with their foreheads pressed together, reaffirming their bond. Outside a grand estate, a voiceover sneers at Chloe, assuming she's overjoyed to finally be getting married. As Chloe walks down a hallway, two maids whisper behind her, but she resolves to endure their scorn this time. Overhearing them gossip about her fiancé, the Viscount, she steels herself to endure it to make someone named Andrea lower his guard. One of the maids smirks, mocking the Viscount's affection and deriding the childish letters sent by that barbarian. Chloe stops and confronts the maids, asking what letter they are talking about. Surprising them, realizing Andrea has been monitoring her correspondence, Chloe glares as the maids nervously explain their concerns about a letter from Rodrian. Suddenly, Chloe is grabbed from behind and dragged away as a voice screams her name in alarm. A man with brown hair angrily calls Marquis Rodrian a rude bastard, stating he couldn't stand by after reading a letter he shoves toward a maid, as Chloe looks on. A flashback shows the letter, which poetically describes a fateful meeting at a palace party under a beautiful moonlit sky. A silhouetted figure is shown writing the letter, recalling the vivid intensity of meeting the recipient's gaze. Chloe wonders what the Marquis was thinking, while the man fumes that it was vulgar to send such a letter to a woman with a fiancé. He declares he can no longer tolerate this treatment of his sister, contrasting the simple flowers with the fine jewels Viscount Pelusis sent. Chloe internally reflects that, in her past life, she would have shrunk back after hearing Andrea's words. She recalls how she would have fretted over bringing shame to the imperial family. A warm memory surfaces of a young boy reassuring her that none of it was her fault. Gripping the letter, Chloe resolves that she is not going to live like that anymore. Mistaking her resolve for sadness, Andrea tells Chloe there's no need to cry or blame herself. With a sharp smile, Chloe agrees with her brother, stating she knew he'd understand and that she should get rid of insignificant things. Chloe asks a maid if Marquis Rodrian also sent the flowers she holds, and the maid nervously confirms it. Stating it's right for her to get rid of them, Chloe snatches the vase from the maid, who lets out a "Koi-a-a-a-a-a." With a loud crash, Chloe drops the vase as Andrea shouts her name in shock. Smiling placidly, Chloe apologizes to her brother and claims her hand slipped. Andrea panics upon seeing blood on Chloe's face and frantically orders the staff to treat her injury. As the shattered vase lies on the floor, Chloe resolves that Andrea's words won't hurt her anymore. The scene shifts to a woman in a black dress, sitting alone on an ornate sofa. She reflects that Andrea has been coming to whine to her more frequently as of late. Andrea bursts in, declaring something has happened to Chloe and she's become a different person, which the woman contemplates, saying they'll find out soon enough. A knock sounds at an ornate door, and a voice from within invites them in. Chloe, now with a bandage on her cheek, enters the room, stating she heard she was called. The woman stands and tells Chloe that she needs her to do something important. She announces that Marquis Rodrian has sent a marriage proposal and orders Chloe to follow him to Ronheim, leaving Chloe stunned. The woman clarifies that Chloe isn't being sent away forever, but is simply going as a watchdog. She explains that Ronheim has become prosperous as a vassal state, but she's heard they are secretly preparing for war. She tasks Chloe with marrying into Ronheim as a symbol of peace to monitor the Marquis and prevent any trouble. Chloe clutches her dress, visibly conflicted by the sudden command. Internally, Chloe is pleased at this convenient way to break her engagement, but feigns reluctance, agreeing to do her best for her mother. The woman thanks and apologizes to Chloe, gently touching her shoulder. She hugs Chloe, promising to bring her back soon, as Chloe internally notes that even this warm touch is a lot. Chloe reflects that she never would have suspected her mother, Kavala, if she hadn't returned to the past. With a confident smile, Chloe vows that this time, Kavala will be the one trapped by her own scheme. The cloaked figure asks Kavala if she is really sending the princess to Ronheim, and Kavala confirms it is the best way to plant a spy. When the figure questions Chloe's obedience, Kavala scoffs that the fool will be too scared to do anything, and announces she's assigning her own agent to her. Kavala smirks, recalling that the princess had asked for a favor. She explains Chloe requested a merchant guild and barren land once owned by the former empress as a wedding gift. As Chloe enjoys the nice night air, Kavala dismisses the request, thinking Chloe will just freeze to death in that barren land anyway. Despite opposition from Viscount Pelusis and Andrea, the marriage proceeds as it was backed by Kavala, the imperial consort. The scene focuses on Chloe's elegant shoes as she prepares for the ceremony. She reflects on her lonely engagement, overhearing whispers that a crazy princess and a savage are a perfect pair. As maids gossip behind their hands, Chloe sits with poise, thinking this very ceremony proves she has changed the future. Opening a door to a balcony, Chloe thinks about the merchant guild and territory Kavala has given her. She resolves to contact a certain person upon arriving in Ronheim, then glances down at Ronheim's knights, remaining guarded. The knights from Ronheim are furious, seeing the broken vase as a rejection and questioning their lord's decision to marry into the imperial family. They bitterly complain that they will still resent the union, especially while watching the insane princess act dignified. As the knight wonders what face she'll show, Chloe stands confidently, acknowledging their despise but resolved not to abandon the bond. Chloe, wearing a veil, walks towards two knights in full plate armor, guarding a grand doorway. Standing in a ray of light, Chloe steels herself, thinking that if she can just endure today, freedom is within reach. The scene explains that the number of vassals walking with the couple is a reflection of the emperor's favor. Chloe stands resolute, her expression somber as she prepares for the ceremony. Dressed in a white gown and veil, she walks the long path toward the throne room. Chloe recalls her past life, where crippling anxiety over a similar event overshadowed any sense of humiliation. She remembers Andre's anger when Viscount Pelsis withdrew his support, but dismisses it, knowing the engagement was never her choice. Chloe steels herself, resolving to focus on surviving the forced ceremony until Callias arrives. A voice calls out her name, telling her she's walking too slowly as she hesitates on the carpet. Reaching the throne, Chloe greets her father, realizing she only recognizes him from her past life's engagement. She gracefully curtsies before the emperor. Lowering her head, she formally apologizes for her tardiness. Her father dismissively tells her to hurry, treating her like a stranger as Kavala is formally announced. Kavala greets Chloe with false warmth, delighting in the spectacle of the lunatic princess marrying a barbarian. With a forced smile, Chloe thanks her, feeling the hostile glares of the entire court upon her. When Kavala insists on being called mother, Chloe reluctantly agrees, glad Callias isn't present to see her humiliation. She resolves to endure it all, but her eyes widen in shock as an unexpected name is called out. Chloe turns, looking down the aisle with a mix of hope and apprehension. The scene briefly focuses on the arrival of a man with dark hair. The man, dressed in a formal blue uniform, looks down with a solemn expression. An honor guard, the Knights of Ronheim, marches in behind him. A booming voice announces the grand entrance of His Excellency, Marquis Callias Rodrian. Callias makes his entrance, leaving Chloe to wonder in disbelief why the Marquis has arrived. Confused, she questions his early arrival as he walks confidently toward the throne. A faint, relieved smile appears on Chloe's face as she watches him approach. A small, whimsical character reminds the audience where to find the chapter. Callias formally greets the imperial family before turning his attention elsewhere. He looks directly at Chloe, declaring it an honor to serve her, much to her surprise. With a charming smile, Callias apologizes for his small retinue, framing it as a sign of his deep admiration for her. The emperor scoffs at the retinue, his disapproval clear. Chloe worries her father's displeasure will ruin everything, while Kavala smirks from her throne. Kavala smoothly takes control, expressing pleasure that Ronheim has shown such favor to their princess. She unexpectedly declares the engagement will proceed immediately, leaving Chloe stunned and wondering if this was a deliberate move. Kavala beams, gesturing grandly as her plan unfolds perfectly. Formally questioned, Chloe quietly consents to the marriage with Marquis Rodrian. As the attention turns to Callias, Andre scoffs in the crowd, while Chloe worries how difficult this must be for him. Kavala pressures Callias to declare his acceptance as Chloe leans on him, contemplating his choice. As she reflects on their marriage of convenience, the camera closes in on Callias's determined eye. Chloe accepts her fate, prepared to endure the marriage without his respect as part of her plan for survival. Suddenly, Callias takes her hand, causing a startled Chloe to call out his name in surprise. She looks up at him, her expression a mixture of shock and confusion at his unexpected gesture. Callias's gaze is focused and intense. He tenderly interlaces his fingers with hers, a gesture of unexpected intimacy. Surrounded by a magical aura of flowers, Callias gives her a warm, reassuring smile. In a shocking move, he kneels before her, leaving Chloe completely bewildered by his sudden action. Flustered by his public display, Chloe resolves to clarify the misunderstanding later, questioning if this is his true nature. From her throne, Kavala observes with a smirk, commenting on the Marquis' ardent behavior. A close-up reveals Kavala's triumphant and sinister smile. She stands before the throne, overseeing the ceremony with satisfaction. Relieved, Chloe concludes that thanks to Callias playing along, the ceremony concluded without incident. A hand reaches toward her face. Callias gently touches her cheek, observing that she seems uneasy, startling her once more. Chloe sees an image of a younger, smiling Callias superimposed over his present self. Staring at Callias's back, she stands in stunned silence, utterly bewildered. As the court applauds, Chloe reflects that, for a brief moment, the man before her overlapped with the boy she once knew. She feels his gesture was almost encouraging her as she looks down, flustered by his actions. Two men gossip about the Marquis' strange behavior, suggesting black sorcery, until one silences the other to check their supplies. Callias quietly affirms his acceptance of the marriage proposal. Later, standing alone outside, Callias silently contemplates his own hand. He recalls touching Chloe's cheek, realizing the aura he felt wasn't her own, as he watches her walk through the garden, completely oblivious. Callias's thoughts confirm that although she was unaware, He felt the unnatural energy clearly. While walking, Chloe notices a bracelet on the ground and wonders why it's there. As she wonders who the bracelet belongs to, Callias realizes the truth. She is afflicted with a curse of death. A small character asks someone named Alex if he has found it yet. A man named Alex decides to search one last time before leaving, while his companion tells him to hurry as the others are heading out. Trembling with frustration, Alex laments losing his flatus and complains that nothing ever goes right for him. Hearing someone call him Sir Knight, Alex wonders who on earth would address him that way here. He turns to see Chloe, who smiles in relief, glad that he hasn't departed yet. Startled, he recoils as Chloe realizes with a gasp that he isn't the highness she was expecting. Internally, Alex berates himself for the mistake, worried about causing trouble for the prince, but dismisses it aloud as nothing serious. Chloe presents the lost bracelet to a surprised Alex. She holds out the item with a bright, warm smile. A flustered Alex reacts as Chloe returns the flatus to him. She explains that a flatus is a traditional Ronheim bracelet, a prayer for a cherished one's happiness and safety. Alex grows suspicious, wondering why she would go to such lengths to return what must seem like a simple trinket to her. Chloe explains with a kind smile that she wanted to return it because a friend of hers has a similar one. Stunned, Alex struggles to reconcile her gentle demeanor with the vicious rumors that she was mad. He clutches his chest, thinking to himself that she seems quite different from what he'd been told. Chloe simply smiles and says her actions were nothing at all. As she turns to leave, she quietly remarks, "Oh dear." Watching her go, Alex makes a quiet promise to himself that they will meet again. He securely holds the return bracelet in his gloved hand. He dismisses a lingering thought as absurd while gazing at the palace grounds. Alex casts one last thoughtful glance back before leaving. With renewed purpose, he mounts his horse and rides away. The scene transitions to a grand view of the imperial palace. A sharp voice admonishes Chloe, questioning what might have happened had she met with the people from Ronheim. A maid continues her tirade about the violent nature of Ronheim's people, while Chloe inwardly notes how noisy she's been. As the maid demands to know if she's even listening, Chloe internally scoffs at how little she is thought of. She remembers Alex bowing with sincere gratitude and thanking her. The memory brings a genuine, happy smile to Chloe's face. She touches her own necklace, her thoughts returning to the bracelet Alex had lost. Her mind drifts to a memory of a younger Callias, her cherished friend. She recalls his comforting words from their childhood. No matter how fierce a snowstorm, it will cease one day. Back in the present, Chloe connects the dots, realizing that Alex must be from Ronheim. She thoughtfully considers the implications of this new information. The narrator explains the imperial palace bustled with wedding preparations, rushed by Callias' insistence on a swift departure. Chloe gazes out the window, convinced the hurried preparations are futile, as the wedding will never truly happen. She recalls her past life, where the emperor's sudden injury and Kavala's subsequent preoccupation led to her wedding being cancelled. Chloe reveals her plan. Kavala leaving her own palace to attend to the emperor was the precise opportunity she was waiting for. She remembers seeing the Marquis's subordinates at the engagement, acknowledging how crucial it is to win their favor to secure her position in Ronheim. Chloe reveals her plan to steal Kavala's jewels, to aid Ronheim's restoration and escape. Knowing the Emperor's fall is near but unsure of the date, Chloe waits patiently for her opportunity. Overhearing maids announce the Emperor fell from his horse, Chloe realizes her moment has finally come. She recalls from her past life that on this night, Kavala will stay by the Emperor's bedside. This means the Empress's palace will be unguarded, providing the perfect chance for a thief to strike. Realizing tonight is her only chance, she remains confident that a special, magical key will prevent any other thief from succeeding. She reflects that only 3 people know of the key: its current owner, Kavala. The second was the former Empress, who passed the secret of the vault and key to Kavala. The key is cleverly disguised as a multi-sided die, an object no one would suspect. The third and final person with this knowledge is Chloe herself. She understands now why Kavala left the key on display, never imagining Chloe knew its true purpose. Trembling, Chloe steals her resolve, hoping Kavala will not resent her too much for what she is about to do. With a look of absolute conviction, she declares she is only taking back what was stolen from her. The scene shifts to the Empress's imposing palace, bathed in moonlight. A cloaked Chloe moves through the grounds, pleased to find the guards more lax than she anticipated. Convinced everyone is at the Emperor's palace, she searches for a way inside, undetected. A sudden clatter from a nearby window startles her, interrupting her search. Seeing a silhouette opening a window, she decides to use their entry point for her own infiltration. She's shocked as a person climbs out, their wavy red locks instantly familiar. Chloe recognizes the woman as the infamous thief from wanted posters who targets Kavala's vault. The thief's dark skin and red hair match the wanted poster perfectly, confirming her identity. Realizing the thief just left the palace, Chloe panics, knowing guards will soon be swarming the area. As guards shout from within the palace, her fears are confirmed. The place is on high alert. Chloe feels trapped, knowing that if she runs, she will lose her only chance to get into the vault. The thief, however, smiles confidently, deciding it's time to use her backup plan. As Chloe considers her diminishing options, the sound of hurried footsteps breaks the silence. To her utter shock, the thief begins running directly at her hiding place. Panicked, Chloe waves her hands frantically, yelling for the thief to go away. Suddenly, she finds her hands bound in handcuffs, leaving her stunned and confused. The thief triumphantly shouts for the guards, presenting the shackled Chloe as the escaped culprit. Chloe stares in utter disbelief, completely floored by the thief's betrayal. Holding up her bound wrists, she wonders if the thief is trying to frame her. Two knights spot them and yell for the others to catch her and not let her escape. The thief calmly tells the approaching guards that she discovered Chloe hiding in the bushes. Chloe finds the situation ridiculous, certain that revealing her identity as a princess will clear everything up. Regret sinks in as she worries the guards might not recognize her, making her wish she had run. Revealing her face, she announces herself as Princess Chloe Idelian, planning to feign a visit to Kavala. As she thinks, a guard roughly grabs her arm and yells, "How dare you!" The guard calls her a mere butler, leaving Chloe appalled at being treated with such blatant disrespect. Furious that the guards don't recognize royalty, Chloe demands they release her at once. Her command trails off as her eyes fixate on a nearby window. She stares at the window's reflection, confused and unsettled by what she sees. Horrified, she sees her reflection is that of the thief's and realizes she's been tricked. She wonders if the thief cast a spell on her. In the brief moment they were close, Chloe realizes her opponent was no ordinary thief, but a powerful magic user. The thief gives a final, jaunty wave before disappearing into the night. A guard whispers to another to quietly deal with her, and Chloe's blood runs cold. Before she can protest, a guard strikes her from behind, knocking her to the ground. She struggles against the encroaching darkness, terrified of losing consciousness. A strange smell overtakes her as she succumbs to unconsciousness. Wondering where she is, Chloe awakens on a cold, hard floor, the sound of chains clinking as she moves. She sits up with a start, wondering why she's been locked in a bath instead of a prison. Stumbling forward in the dim light, she catches herself against a reflective surface. Seeing her reflection, she's shocked to find she still looks like the male thief. She examines her hands, wondering if the magic handcuffs are preventing her disguise from wearing off. Recognizing the lavish room as Kavala's personal bath, she questions the bizarre decision to imprison a supposed thief there. She notices the overpowering scent of candles and the faint, unsettling smell of blood in the air. Standing cautiously, she finds the entire situation deeply suspicious. Despite her unease, she finds some relief in knowing she's still inside Kavala's palace. She realizes her true identity remains hidden, giving her the perfect opportunity to blame the thief for everything. Resolved to escape, she knows she must first break the spell of the cuffs, steal Kavala's treasure, and flee. She quickly scans her surroundings, finding only candles and a few knives. Upon closer inspection, she sees several ornate letter openers, but wonders if there's anything more useful. Her eyes land on a small bottle of oil, sparking an idea. A look of brilliant insight crosses her face as she realizes the oil is her key to freedom. She carefully pours the oil over her cuffed hands. The cuff slides off easily, and she wryly notes that her forced thinness has finally become an advantage. Now free, she looks around the room, ready to make her next move. With the shackles and cuffs gone, she knows it's time to act. She heads for the door, noting that the darkness outside means little time has passed. Creak. She quietly opens the door, intent on escaping before Kavala returns. Peeking out, she discovers the bath connects directly to Kavala's study. She gasps, taken aback by what she finds. She realizes that the lock, which seemed simple, is actually magically protected. Undeterred by the glowing magic seal, she confidently decides to find another route. She reasons that since even the windows are magically sealed, her captors never expected an intruder. With a smirk, she mentally apologizes to Kavala, vowing that such simple tricks won't stop her. She recalls Kavala and her maids, knowing her only way out is through the secret passage. Approaching a large painting, she feels along the wall, searching for the entrance. Click. Her face lights up with a triumphant smile as she finds the hidden mechanism. A section of the wall rumbles open, revealing a dark, hidden corridor. She stands before the secret passage, a route passed down exclusively between the Emperor and Empress. The dark passage stands open, waiting for her. She gazes down the long staircase, aware she has found the Imperial Palace's hidden passage. Her expression is firm and resolute as she prepares to enter. She recalls a map of the palace, remembering how she used these passages in childhood to evade maids and plan her current heist. She smiles, grateful for the childhood memories that now serve her plan for survival. As a princess, she reflects, she should have never known of this passage's existence. She clutches a small object, recalling how she came to learn this forbidden secret. In a warm memory, she remembers her mother breaking sacred law to tell her about the passage. A vision of her mother's kind, smiling face fills her thoughts. She recalls her mother leading her as a child to the passage, foreseeing a danger that would one day come for her. Her mother's serious warning to never speak of the passage to anyone echoes in her mind. She takes her first step into the stone corridor. Walking through the torchlit passage, her thoughts remain on her mother's sacrifice. She continues purposefully through the hidden stone hallway. Her determined gaze shows the weight of her mission and her mother's legacy. At last, she reaches a massive, ornate door at the end of the passage. Approaching the door, she remembers her mother's final instruction to place the key above the door. She holds up the small, rune-etched key, ready to unlock her escape route. Using the key, Chloe enters the next chamber and stops in her tracks. She stands in stunned silence, having successfully reached Kavala's treasure vault. Her eyes fall upon priceless heirlooms, including adornments of the ancient kingdom's first queen. She also finds the collection of rings that her own mother once cherished most. Overwhelmed by the immense value of every item, she wonders how she'll carry it all. Desperately looking for something larger, she spots a shabby, out-of-place sack nearby. Though suspicious of its origin, she decides it's a lucky find and will use it. Before filling it, she checks inside and discovers a mysterious, heavy object. She pulls out an ornate goblet, shocked as she wonders if it's a holy grail. Examining the ancient, scratched goblet, she finds it looks incredibly old. Thud! Deciding it's too heavy and not valuable enough, she leaves it behind. With her sacks now full of treasure, she smiles, satisfied with her haul. Her heist nearly complete, she takes out a box of matches for the final step. She knows that simply sneaking out would be too risky if Kavala found any trace of her. Therefore, she reasons, the most certain solution is to destroy the evidence. With grim resolve, she decides she must burn the entire vault to the ground. As flames engulf the room, she lays out her plan to hide what was taken and scatter jewels to confuse the investigation. She predicts Kavala's greedy subordinates will steal the scattered jewels, making it nearly impossible to find the true culprit. However, even as the fire rages, her thoughts keep returning to the old grail she abandoned. Her eyes, reflecting the flames, show a sudden change of heart. At the last possible moment, she makes a new decision and reaches for the grail. Outside, panic erupts as guards shout that the Empress's vault is on fire and scramble to extinguish it. Later, two maids gossip, suspecting the intruder started the fire and wondering how they escaped. One laments the destruction of the vault's contents before the other leans in to share a secret. The maid claims she saw a suspicious person amidst the flames, which startles her companion. As the maid describes seeing someone greedily pocketing jewels, Chloe feigns shock while inwardly sighing in relief. She smugly thinks to herself that many people surely took advantage of the chaos to steal something. Her brilliant plan a success, Chloe calmly sips her tea, the picture of innocence. She recalls where she hid the real treasures, inside a teddy bear her mother gifted her. The stolen jewels and gold are safely stashed within the bear in a hidden compartment in its box. She smiles confidently, believing that, after some time, even Kavala won't be able to trace the items. Her confidence shatters with a sudden, worrying thought. She remembers that while the guards only saw her disguise, the other thief saw her true face. The terrifying realization that someone knows her identity hits her with full force. She panics, realizing her entire plan for revenge will collapse if the other thief is ever caught. Gripping her teacup, she commands herself to calm down. She sits at a piano, trying to reassure herself that everything will be all right. She remembers from her past life that Kavala launched a massive manhunt for the thief, but never found her. The memory that the thief was never caught before gives her renewed confidence. Besides, she reasons, she will soon be leaving for Ronheim anyway. Her peace is shattered by a commotion outside, as guards shout that they've spotted the thief. Elsewhere, the fleeing red-haired thief curses Chloe, blaming her for the chase and vowing revenge. In another room, a furious Kavala throttles a man, demanding to know why he can't catch the gypsy girl. She furiously questions him on how the thief could have known about her magic key, a secret only they shared. Her rage turns to accusation as she screams that he must have colluded with the thief. The man calmly kneels before her, asking his sister if she truly doubts his loyalty. He gently takes her hand to comfort her. He swears to her that he would never betray her. With his hand over his heart, he looks at her with pained sincerity to reaffirm his loyalty. Kavala's brother promises to recover the treasures and return them, pleading with her to calm her anger. Kavala agrees to believe him one last time, but sternly asks if he has found her chalice yet. He looks away, admitting that he has not found it yet. He clenches his fist, insisting with certainty that the chalice was not stolen. She demands to know how he can be so sure, but he explains that the chalice would be overlooked. He reveals the chalice looks like a simple decoration and was hidden in an old sack, making it worthless to a thief. Unimpressed, Kavala demands he bring her the relic before making excuses, reminding him of her struggles to awaken it. She states her plan to obtain the key soon through Chloe, who is seen with Cal. Kavala dismisses her brother's confidence without the chalice in hand and orders him to retrieve it, which he obediently accepts. Staring out her window, she declares she doesn't care what means he uses to recover the chalice, as the other jewels are inconsequential. With a smirk, she muses that the jewels are nothing compared to the chalice and the power it will grant her. The relic's true purpose is revealed: eternal youth and undeniable, overwhelming power. Kavala's eye gleams with intense ambition for the power she seeks. Her brother worries that using the relic will expose her possession of it to Ronheim, but she dismisses his concerns. Red energy crackles in Kavala's hand as she prepares to wield immense power. She vows that once she masters this power, Ronheim will be judged and destroyed for abandoning the princess to die. Her brother confirms his understanding of her plan to use the princess to deal with Ronheim. Kavala confirms it, stating that since she gave the princess what she wanted, a price must be paid. He pledges that everything will happen according to her will, and she affirms that it must. Kavala venomously orders her brother to find the butler responsible for the theft so she can tear her apart. She then asks if the child being sent with Chloe is ready. He confirms she will enter the palace on their departure day. Kavala states that the girl was specially prepared and will serve her purpose well. Time passes as Tex confirms Chloe's wedding was cancelled, and her departure for Ronheim is imminent. The scene shifts to a large, sunlit mansion where Chloe is staying. Inside, Chloe paces back and forth with a worried expression. She frets that it's almost time to leave, but she hasn't seen Carl since they last met. Anxiously, she thinks of how she wanted to say goodbye, wondering why he's avoiding her. She speculates that he might be staying away because the maids are always around for the wedding preparations. Watching the maids, she concludes that Carl is being cautious, which she finds a waste. She turns to the maids and firmly tells them to pack away the gifts. Chloe stands tall, awaiting the maids' compliance. The maids begin folding lavish dresses and packing them into a suitcase. One maid protests, asking if Chloe is disregarding the Empress's goodwill by packing away her special gifts. Chloe scoffs internally, recognizing the pretty dresses are just trappings to show off Kavala's supposed favor. She dismisses the maids, demanding to be left alone until she leaves for Ronheim. As Chloe walks away, the maids whisper that she's growing more willful, but decide to give her some space. Alone at last, Chloe thinks to herself that her plan to send the maids away was a success. Looking around the empty sunlit room, she quietly calls out for Carl. She opens a set of glass doors, smiling as she tells him it's safe to come out now. She waits longingly, remembering Carl's promise to always be with her, even in Ronheim, a vow they both knew was impossible. A voice announces her departure time, and Chloe's face falls in sadness, realizing she didn't get to see Carl after all. With quiet resignation, she acknowledges that she understands. She turns to leave, knowing any further delay will only raise suspicion. As she moves, she stops in surprise, noticing a small, folded note on a nearby table. She picks up the note, realizing it appeared just a moment ago. Her eyes fill with tears as she unfolds the letter. Overcome with emotion, she clutches the note to her chest and whispers Carl's name. She closes her eyes, a tear of relief and sadness escaping as she holds the letter from Carl. Thump, thump, thump. A sudden, loud knocking at the door is accompanied by a voice shouting for the princess. Startled, Chloe turns abruptly towards the door. As Chloe lowers her gaze, A voice chides her, stating that everyone is waiting for her. She considers a note she's written, deciding it would be too troublesome if it were discovered on her person. Opting for safety, she decides it's better to leave the note behind in her room. As she exits, she reassures herself that the maids wouldn't know who wrote it anyway. A man in an elegant, fur-lined cloak glances back expectantly in a sunlit courtyard. With her maid standing in formation behind her, Chloe presents herself with formal composure. Chloe offers a serene and confident smile. A close-up reveals the ornate golden brooch on the man's cravat. The man, Marquis Rodrian, regards the scene with a calm and self-assured expression. Relieved that the mad princess is finally leaving, two maids gossip about the peace her absence will bring, until one discovers a note on the desk. The maids read the strange note, wondering why Chloe would write, "Don't worry, I'll follow you," concluding it's further proof of her madness. A maid shivers with revulsion, recalling how Chloe sometimes talks to herself and assuming the note is part of a delusion. Her colleague wonders if Chloe inherited the late Empress's madness. With a loud bam, a man with reddish-brown hair enters the room. He informs the maids that the princess has left and then scans the room, looking for a box. Spotting the box, he moves to retrieve it, saying, "This must be the one." A maid angrily confronts him, demanding to know what he's doing touching palace belongings. He smirks, finding it ironic to be scolded by servants he just overheard gossiping about their mistress. The maids gasp in shock at his words, one calling him a barbarian. Ignoring them, he turns and leaves with the case in hand. He reflects on how badly Chloe must have been treated for her own servants to speak of her with such disrespect. Recalling Chloe's polite request for the box, he concludes she is neither mad nor rude like the others from her homeland. Chloe is shown looking genuinely grateful for his help. He watches from a distance as Marquis Rodrian addresses Chloe near the waiting carriages. He approaches, presenting the box to Chloe and confirming he brought what she asked for, to which she replies, "Well done." Chloe beams with a bright, happy smile. He muses that the princess seems pitiful, as Marquis Rodrian asks if she's ready to depart. He then offers his assistance to Chloe, who looks surprised by the kind gesture. He blushes, thinking to himself that it should be fine to at least call her by a respectful title. As Marquis Rodrian watches with a slight smile, Chloe appears flustered by the attendant's formality, questioning if he called her "my lady." Chloe breaks into a joyful, unrestrained laugh. The royal carriage, escorted by mounted guards, departs through the palace gates. From a window, Kavala watches the procession leave, coolly noting that Chloe is finally gone. Kavala stands with her arms crossed, a confident and calculating smirk on her face. Elsewhere, Andrea holds a drink, questioning what his mother could possibly be thinking. While drinking with Viscount Pelusis, Andrea laments that just as Chloe was about to act independently, Kavala sent her away. He rises in frustration, decrying their mother's decision to send Chloe to Marquis Rodrian. Andrea complains to Viscount Pelusis about Chloe rejecting his marriage proposal, while Pelusis fumes that she now meekly accepts marriage to a barbarian. Viscount Pelusis bitterly questions if Chloe prefers a royal barbarian over a commoner like him, despite his offer of a huge dowry. He scowls, consumed by resentment. When Viscount Pelusis suggests they can still intervene, Andrea scoffs, asking if he intends to threaten the prince over money. Andrea looks at him with clear annoyance and disdain. Viscount Pelusis quickly backtracks as Andrea declares there's nothing to be done since their mother made the decision. Andrea smiles menacingly, stating that as long as the Marquis lives, he is frustrated, and he would greatly reward anyone who could kill him. Viscount Pelusis listens in contemplative silence. He slyly asks if the reward could even be the princess herself. Andrea declares he'd be grateful if someone took a tainted princess off his hands, an idea that clearly pleases Viscount Pelusis. The plot is revealed. After the wedding, they plan to lock Chloe away, certain no one will ever look for the mad princess. Viscount Pelusis smirks deviously, assuring Andrea that he will make his wishes come true. The scene transitions to a bright, sunlit day seen through leafy branches. A horse-drawn carriage makes its way along a sunlit road, signaling the start of a journey. Inside, Chloe looks around nervously, taking in her new surroundings. Cal asks if she is looking for something, but Chloe quickly denies it. She explains with a blush that this is her first time outside the palace, so everything feels new. Surprised, Cal asks if she's truly never left before, which she quietly confirms. Chloe sadly admits that she practically lived like a prisoner in the palace. A heavy silence falls between them as Cal looks at her, and she worries that things have become awkward. Trying to lighten the mood, Chloe dismisses her past as he holds a scroll. He unrolls a map, and a surprised Chloe asks why he's showing it to her. Cal points to their current location, beginning to trace their route on the map. He continues to narrate their path through farmlands and across a river. Their journey will lead them to a grand castle nestled in a verdant landscape by the water. Chloe's face lights up with genuine delight at the prospect of the adventure. She closes her eyes, a peaceful and happy smile gracing her lips. Beaming with excitement, Chloe looks forward to the journey ahead. Cal watches her with a gentle and understanding expression. The scene focuses on the intricate details of his formal, noble attire. The story pauses for a moment on a closing title card. Their carriage arrives at the fortress city of Vermain, their first major stop. Peering out, Chloe expresses her surprise at the lively city, having expected only a grim fortress. She marvels at the vibrant market, which is more bustling than she ever imagined. However, she senses something is amiss, noticing that the townspeople seem to be avoiding them. Cal listens to her observation with a simple acknowledgement. He explains that the locals disdain northerners. Chloe sadly reflects that she's used to being a nuisance. He remains silent, allowing her a moment to process the harsh reality of the local prejudice. Suddenly, Chloe is startled as Cal begins explaining why the market goods are impractical for them. He points out that with constant snow in the north, carrying water is unnecessary, which she understands. Touched, Chloe realizes he noticed her curiosity and decided to explain things for her. Cal elaborates with a smile that special waterproof boots are needed to trudge through snow all day. Chloe looks down, a little flustered by his thoughtful attention. Cal's expression becomes serious as he prepares to speak again. He informs Chloe that there's a place he needs to stop by, leaving her confused. A bell chimes as he enters a building, greeted by a welcoming voice from within. A smiling shopkeeper greets them warmly. He addresses the shopkeeper as Rhonda, who explains her husband Paletto is away, while Chloe examines the thick, fur-lined northern clothing. Rhonda notes that she heard from Brentian that he was seeking women's clothing, as Chloe marvels at the different styles. Cal glances at Chloe and confidently announces he's looking for clothes for his wife, making her jump. Blushing furiously, Chloe feels embarrassed by the title, even though it's technically true. Leaning closer, he gently tells her that the northern weather is far more severe than in Oriental. He frankly warns her that her current attire wouldn't protect her for a single minute there. He kindly suggests she change into more suitable clothing while they have the chance. An aside explains that in Oriental, winter clothing is for fashion, with nobility flaunting lace and accessories. In contrast, a northern resident is shown bundled in a thick, practical fur hood against the snow. The narration explains that Southerners view the Northerners' rugged, practical clothing as barbaric. In the now silent shop, Chloe worries about the expense, knowing her current outfit is inadequate. A knight asks Cal if Chloe was offended, while an attendant nervously addresses her. Chloe puts everyone at ease with a bright, reassuring smile. Cal offers a small, satisfied smile in return, while the knight beside him remains tense. Rhonda invites her to choose some clothes, and Cal agrees, as his men express relief that she isn't difficult. Chloe politely asks Rhonda for a recommendation, and the shopkeeper promises to have the clothes delivered. A man with dark blue hair sternly confronts someone off-screen, questioning the actions of a person named Callius. Marquise Rodrian offers a gentle, knowing smile. It's revealed the marriage was a ploy to locate a holy relic, a goal now achieved, making the union unnecessary. The narrator speculates that Chloe is a spy for Kavala, whose servants could easily leak vital information. They conclude that for their own safety, the princess must be sent back as soon as possible. The blue-haired man tells Marquise Rodrian that they can't simply banish her. They must convince her to leave willingly. He looks away anxiously, wondering what the future holds. Marquise Rodrian teases him, asking why he's watching the princess with such a warm expression. Changing the subject, Marquise Rodrian asks about the holy relic, and his companion confirms it's presumed safe. Marquise Rodrian acknowledges the report, privately relieved the relic is safe, but still harboring some concerns. The image of a teddy bear appears as he wonders when they will finally be able to retrieve it. A woman with long silver hair suddenly appears, looking surprised and beginning to speak. She stops short with a sharp intake of breath as she recognizes someone. She realizes the woman before her is the thief from the palace, despite her different hair color. A flashback confirms her identity, and Chloe cries out in disbelief, "You're that thief!" Chloe confronts the thief, who is disguised as a handmaiden, demanding to know how she infiltrated their group. The thief calmly denies being a thief, pointing out that she never actually stole anything. She then smirks, turning the accusation back on Chloe by calling her the real thief. The thief reveals she witnessed everything. Chloe, at the safe and setting the fire, leaving the princess horrified. She explains that she was framed for Chloe's crimes, unable to leave the palace due to an arrest warrant. Chloe panics, terrified that news of her actions has already reached Kavala. The thief nonchalantly says she used the chaos Chloe created to escape and hide within the departing procession. Looking directly at Chloe, she proposes a deal, leaving the princess wary. She explains that soldiers are already camped outside searching for her, showing a wanted poster as proof. The thief offers a partnership. She will become Chloe's accomplice in exchange for safe passage. Chloe hesitates, realizing the soldiers hunting the thief must be working for Kavala. After a moment, Chloe agrees to the deal, sealing it with a firm handshake. The thief beams, expressing her eagerness to begin working together. She notes that Chloe was changing clothes and observes that her guards appear to be northerners. As Chloe looks on puzzled, the thief confidently states she knows the tastes of northern men. The thief enthusiastically presents new outfits and offers fashion advice, leaving Chloe feeling overwhelmed. Elsewhere, Marquis Rodrian informs his aide that the teleportation circle is about to activate. Chloe arrives, now dressed for travel, and thanks Marquis Rodrian for waiting. Dressed in a new fur-lined cloak, Chloe shyly asks if her northern attire looks all right. Marquis Rodrian is momentarily stunned speechless by her appearance. As Chloe worries about his silence, her companions observe that the Marquis is completely captivated. A faint blush appears on Marquis Rodrian's cheeks as he smiles warmly. The thief reassures a flustered Chloe, who is amazed to see the Marquis with such an unguarded expression. The Marquis's aide clears his throat, thinking they need to get a move on. He formally introduces himself as Viscount Berentian Creef, aide to the Marquis. Chloe smiles politely, saying it is a pleasure to meet Viscount Creef. Their carriage approaches a large, ornate teleportation circle in a sunlit clearing. As the carriage enters the circle, it erupts in a brilliant cascade of blue light and energy. Chloe watches in awe, remarking that she was never allowed to see such a thing in her past life. Creef calls out to her and she turns to listen. Marquis Rodrian suddenly moves much closer to Chloe, startling her with his proximity. He explains that the light can cause dizziness, and she blushes, acutely aware of how close they are. As the light intensifies, Chloe nervously mentions that this is her first time using a teleportation circle. The journey ends, and Chloe calls out for Marquis Rodrian in surprise. She is shocked to find herself lying, with her head resting on Marquis Rodrian's lap, completely disoriented. Chloe blushes with embarrassment after being told it's common to doze off after using a teleportation circle. Cal smiles subtly as Chloe internally begs her racing heart to calm down. He invites her to look outside, explaining they've left the fortress while she was asleep. Chloe marvels at the vast, snow-covered landscape, a sight she has never seen before. Pressing her hands against the window, she delights in the world being blanketed in white. Cal explains they are in Avani, which has the least snowfall, warning that other areas are far worse. Surprised by the amount of snow already, she asks if there can really be more. He confirms, noting the harsh weather gives Ronheim a defensive advantage against invaders, which she understands. When he offers to let her step outside to see for herself, she eagerly asks if it's really all right. They stand beside their grand carriage, alone together in the vast, snowy expanse. A voiceover warns to be careful, as the snow is quite deep and one could easily fall. A close-up shows a boot sinking into the pristine snow among delicate, icy flowers. Looking out at the snow-covered mountains, Chloe reflects that this is the very land she and Cal stand together on a precipice, realizing this is the land where she will now live. The narration describes the harshness of the north, where the wind slices like a knife, and the air is freezing. Chloe stands alone against the wind, her expression resolute despite the biting cold. With certainty, she accepts her fate in this new frozen world. Surrounded by ice-blue flowers, she looks forward with determination, thinking of the frozen land she will inhabit. A tear escapes as she vows that she will have no choice but to love her new home. Cal watches her quietly, his expression unreadable as he takes in her emotional moment. He gently places a hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up in surprise. With tears in her eyes, she looks at him, sharing a silent, emotional moment. He turns his gaze away, maintaining his stoic demeanor. Chloe smiles to herself, certain that she was right to have chosen him. The two stand together, small figures in the immense, quiet, snowy landscape. She shares a piece of wisdom: to choose 5 happy memories, to give oneself the courage to live during unbearable times. Cal looks taken aback by her sudden, heartfelt revelation. A memory reveals she once told someone she had no happy memories to keep, besides the moment she met him. Smiling warmly, she declares that today She has finally gained one of her 5 precious memories. She shyly admits to Cal that she had thought he had forgotten about her. He calmly suggests they return to the carriage, and they begin their walk back. Arriving at an inn in Aveen, a maid protests loudly, scandalized that a princess would stay somewhere so shabby. While the maid argues with a knight, a weary Chloe wishes for nothing more to rest. Cal explains that they must rest for the night, as continuing would mean camping in the mountains. He decides it is best to stay in Aveni and depart at dawn. He asks Chloe if staying at an inn is acceptable given their tight schedule, and she readily agrees. Chloe internally justifies the decision, knowing an official visit to the Lord would trap her in social obligations for days. Despite her quiet intentions, a maid objects, furiously questioning Chloe's decision and accusing her of disrespect. The maid insists it's her duty to protect the naive princess from the indignity of staying at a common inn. Chloe internally refutes the maid's concerns, noting the poor relations with Avenay and that Kavala handpicked the staff. Suspecting the maid is a spy, Chloe decides she must intervene to avoid conflict with the people of Ronheim. With a firm resolve, Chloe prepares to step out and take control of the situation. She coldly questions the maid's audacity to disregard a royal's words in front of others. The maid reveals she was given a special order to help Chloe complete that mission. The maid asks for authority, and Chloe realizes she has instructions from Kavala, but she can't be the only one. Knowing the maid's intentions are clear, Chloe asks for her name. The maid introduces herself as Vanessa. Vanessa asserts that Chloe must still gain the Marquis's trust and uncover his secrets. Chloe counters that Vanessa's uncooperative attitude will only make Ronheim's people hostile and her mission harder. Leaning in, Chloe menacingly asks if Vanessa is taking the Empress's command lightly, warning her not to interfere. Chloe icily asks Vanessa if she's actually considering a princess's orders, leaving her stunned. Stunned, Vanessa internally questions the situation, recalling that she'd heard the princess was a paranoid idiot. Chloe calmly threatens to report Vanessa's insubordination to the Empress if it causes the Marquis to fail his mission. The terrified Vanessa quickly apologizes, and Chloe coldly accepts, warning her never to repeat the mistake. Outside, 3 of Cal's men stand in the snow, one advising a Viscount not to inform their lord. Traveling through the snowy sky on a grand carriage, one of the men reaffirms their agreed-upon plan. The blue-haired Viscount looks flustered, caught off guard by the situation. A man offers to lead them inside, secretly cursing the damned Idelian royal scum. He inwardly seethes, believing he's uncovered a conspiracy to spy on his lord, and resolves to inform Brentian immediately. Inside a room, one person remarks they suspected as much, prompting another to ask what they mean. The brown-haired man angrily confronts a silver-haired man for bringing the princess there, despite knowing the situation. When told it was the Marquis's decision, he frustratedly curses Cal's name. He furiously questions why they call their prince a mere Marquis for a rental's sake, but the silver-haired man silences him, calling him Andrew. The man is formally introduced as Harvey Brago, the Knight Commander of the Ronheim Knights. Harvey explains that while their lord is a prince in Ronheim, calling him a king publicly would be seen as rebellion, causing Andrew to apologize. A voice gives a firm order to leave, which is quietly accepted. A dejected Andrew leaves the room under the watchful eyes of Harvey Brago and the Viscount. The Viscount worries their discipline is too lax, but Harvey Brago notes the traitor will soon be caught, though it's complicated by family ties in the castle. They agree to keep the troublemaker calm to avoid giving the princess any reason to find fault. Harvey Brago firmly instructs the Viscount to guard the princess closely while he is away. The Viscount explains he must fetch his master, who went to feed cats upon arrival, and Harvey Brago dismisses him. An order is given for the maids to help Chloe change her clothes, and they obediently agree. Chloe suddenly cries out in surprise. As a maid apologizes, Chloe realizes this is her first real interaction with the maids who traveled separately. Chloe observes her maid's clumsiness and realizes they must be Kavala's hand-picked agents, making her suspicious of the Empress's motives. A kind maid offers to light the fireplace for Chloe, earning a disapproving look from another attendant. Vanessa sharply rebukes the other maid, reminding her not to act without being given a direct order. Vanessa asserts her authority over the other maids, and from their obedience, Chloe confirms that Vanessa is their leader. Vanessa announces she will arrange for a meal, but Chloe pleasantly declines, stating she will not be eating. Chloe dismisses all the maids for the night, urging them to rest, much to their surprised delight and Vanessa's protest. Vanessa tries to stop them, but the other maids happily exit together, ignoring her. When Vanessa complains about the maids' rudeness, Chloe calmly states that she was the one who gave the order. Chloe then dismisses Vanessa as well, telling her to get some rest, to which she quietly concedes. Finally alone, Chloe stands quietly in her room as the door closes. Pondering her situation, Chloe resolves to investigate the clumsy maids more closely, questioning Kavala's strange choice of spies. A knock interrupts her thoughts. Recognizing the voice as Ramia, Chloe invites her in, wondering why she hasn't gone to rest. Ramia enters carrying a large bucket, leaving Chloe to wonder what it's for. Ramia cheerfully explains she brought warm water for Chloe, mentioning she told the innkeeper the princess was freezing to death to get it quickly. As Chloe soaks her feet in the warm water, Ramia assures her it will help her feel better. Chloe expresses her gratitude, but Ramia smiles, declaring that they are on the same side now. Finding no malice in Ramia's blunt words about her own escape, Chloe admits defeat. Looking at the fire, Ramia bluntly asks Chloe when she plans to run away and return to her family. Ramia shares her philosophy that home is where you are, prompting a curious Chloe to ask if she's a gypsy. Ramia playfully corrects her, preferring the title romantic wanderer, though Chloe isn't fooled. Chloe suddenly recalls a memory of a guard arresting Ramia, shouting at her for daring to speak the princess's name. The memory makes Chloe wonder if the police knew Ramia's identity, deepening the mystery of who she truly is. Chloe questions why Ramia was in the Empress's palace, and Ramia shocks her by claiming she was kidnapped. Ramia explains she has no idea why, only that she woke up shackled inside a crate after a night of drinking. As Ramia speculates she was meant to be a sacrifice, a sudden noise interrupts their conversation, putting Chloe on alert. The interruption was clearly food, as Ramia smiles, happy she can finally eat, while Chloe remains silent. Suspicious, Chloe wonders why someone would be kidnapped and taken to Kavala's palace, then asks Ramia to come closer. A sudden flash of recognition hits Chloe as she recalls a familiar man's face from her memories. In a flashback, she remembers a mustachioed man, Viscount Pelsis's errand boy, working with a sinister hooded figure. The memory focuses on a clean-shaven man with a severe expression. Distressed, Chloe questions why that man is here, and if he is connected to Kavala or Andrea. She internally confirms the man is Viscount Pelsis's lackey, questioning his presence and his purpose here. Her anxiety mounts as she again questions if Kavala or Andrea are involved in this escalating situation. A sense of dread fills her as she wonders what terrible events are about to unfold. Ramia, unaware of the danger, happily notes that the meal Chloe was brought is still warm. Ramia holds a tray with bread and fruit, ready to eat. With a shout, Chloe lunges forward and violently slaps the food from Ramia's hands, crying out in alarm. As the tray clatters to the floor, a startled Ramia asks Chloe what is wrong. Standing over the spilled meal, Chloe explains she doesn't know what might be in the food or what Viscount Pelsis's motives are. With a panicked heart, she declares that the Viscount is clearly planning something dangerous as a sudden sound alerts her. Chloe grabs a shocked Ramia, urgently stating that she has to warn the Marquis immediately. Desperate, Chloe asks Ramia to use her face-changing magic to disguise herself as the princess and stay behind. The door creaks open as the plan is set in motion. In a cloak, Chloe explains to two knights that she is looking for the Marquis, knowing Kavala's men are watching her while Ramia poses as her. She rationalizes that disguising herself as Ramia would have been too suspicious. Chloe believes that while the knights are wary, they won't stop a wife from seeking her husband. She enters a room where a knight stands guard, feeling a pang of guilt for using her relationship with Cal, even if it's transactional. The knight turns and addresses her respectfully as, "My lady." The knight's kind and familiar face gives her a flicker of hope. Chloe smiles, recognizing the knight who brought her the teddy bear and thinking he might be trustworthy. The knight, whom she addresses as Alex, asks about her attire, but she quickly asks where the Marquis is. Chloe urgently explains that a suspicious person is in the inn and that the Marquis is in danger, but Alex looks doubtful. Alex insists he has seen no one, but the maids go upstairs, prompting a desperate Chloe to ask if there are other entrances. Alex confirms there's only one staircase, dismissing the idea of an intruder as the Imperial Knights would have noticed, leaving Chloe speechless. Leaning in, Chloe whispers that she doesn't trust the staff sent from the Imperial Palace. She admits that she knows her claims are hard to believe, without any proof. Clenching her fist, Chloe resolves that she cannot remain idle and repeat the mistakes of her past, even if her words lack credibility. She earnestly tells Alex that her concern for the Marquis is genuine, and she needs to warn him before it's too late. Looking worried, Alex listens as Chloe pleads with him to tell her where the Marquis might be. Alex agrees to help, but suggests she speak to the commander, just as another man appears, surprising Chloe. The man introduces himself as Knight Commander Hawik Blago and asks about the suspicious person she saw. Chloe explains she believes they were followed from the capital and that the Marquis might be in danger. Hawik Blago calmly reassures her, stating that she needn't worry and that the Marquis will return shortly. He nonchalantly reveals the Marquis merely went to check on the cats, leaving Chloe stunned and confused. Hawik Blago explains the cats were likely waiting hungrily by the magic transport circle, adding to Chloe's and Alex's confusion. Wondering where cats could possibly exist in a vast snowy field, the scene shifts to Cal riding a white horse through the blizzard. Cal remains silent and stoic as he ventures further into the snowy landscape. He notes 3 or 4 trackers, deducing they were sent to capture him without proper planning as 2 assassins lie in wait. An assassin lies dead in the snow, blood staining the ground around him. Cal stands amidst several large, white snowcats and fallen assassins, vowing to leave one alive as a messenger. Cal's gaze is cold and resolute in the harsh winter light. A large snow cat leaps gracefully, snatching a fish from a fleeing assassin. Cal admonishes the feasting snowcats for their ferocity, then orders them to deal with another man when they are finished. As a voice calls his title, a small, spectral snowcat appears before Cal. A man on horseback calls out to Brentian, and Cal looks up, responding to his true name. Answering a question about snow ghosts, Cal confirms assassins unfortunately interrupted the cat's mealtime. In a blizzard, Marquis Rodrian notes that assassins in white were well prepared, but wonders which idiot sent them, confident they will soon find out. Riding alongside Viscount Creef, Rodrian assumes the assassins weren't just for him, and asks about the princess's protection. Creef confirms she has an iron defense, but notes a man named Hawich is having trouble with the Imperial Knights. Rodrian's expression darkens as he realizes that if Hawich is being blocked from Chloe's floor, there must be a flaw in her security. His thoughts turn grim as he considers the possibility that the person behind the attack may want Chloe dead. Realizing she could be in grave danger, they ride urgently toward a nearby inn. Inside, Rodrian and Creef look worried, with Rodrian hoping he hasn't arrived too late. A nervous soldier confronts them, defensively asking if they don't trust the local guards. The soldier insists only Her Highness's maids were upstairs and that all rooms have been checked, just as Rodrian arrives demanding to know the reason for the commotion. Rodrian and Creef take in the scene, and Rodrian calmly states that he understands the situation. Creef explains to a silver-haired man that they were investigating a suspicious person Chloe saw, but the guards were uncooperative. Rodrian adds that Chloe has been moved to another room for her safety. Creef receives a report from an innkeeper and acknowledges it with a nod. Creef informs Rodrian that the innkeeper discovered a staff uniform is missing, suggesting the person Chloe saw was an imposter. Alarmed, Rodrian orders a full search of the inn to find the culprit, and his men quickly move to obey. He suddenly turns as Chloe appears behind him, looking startled. Chloe rushes to him, expressing her relief that he's safe, and Rodrian asks with surprise if she was worried about him. He confirms he heard she went out alone and asks if anything suspicious happened, quickly adding that it was nothing she needed to worry about. Rodrian then inquires about her well-being, mentioning that he heard she saw a suspicious person. Chloe reassures him she was fine, merely surprised to see one of Viscount Pelusis's lackeys. She concludes that the man's presence means Pelusis is planning something, and Rodrian notices that she is trembling. Rodrian realizes Chloe is afraid of the Viscount and, wondering why, intensely asks if the man did something to her, causing her to flinch. Leaning closer, he grips her arm and presses the question, asking if Viscount Pelusis frightened her. When Chloe winces in pain, he immediately apologizes for his grip. She dismisses it, saying it's nothing. Chloe explains she was just startled and worried something might threaten their marriage, and Rodrian silently listens before promising to handle everything. He gives her a gentle, reassuring look, vowing to protect her. Chloe looks up at him, touched and slightly flustered by his earnest promise. A sudden shout interrupts the moment, and Chloe recognizes the voice with a jolt. Rodrian also recognizes it, calling out Lamia's name in alarm. Maids stare in shock as Chloe enters from outside. She rushes to a blood-soaked Lamia, who clarifies the blood isn't hers. Lamia grins, explaining that when an intruder approached the bed, she simply grabbed a knife and stabbed him. She casually adds that the man was so shocked he fled through the window, leaving Chloe speechless. Looking up from the floor, Lamia holds up the bloody knife and asks Chloe if she was worried. Chloe admits she was, since Lamia was doing her a favor. Lamia teases her for being surprisingly affectionate as Rodrian watches them. The silver-haired man reports to Rodrian that they have successfully captured the intruder who fled the room. The scene transitions, showing snowflakes falling around a length of chain. At a snowy cabin, it's revealed the captured intruder refuses to confess who sent him. Rodrian confronts the bound prisoner, sarcastically complimenting his impressive loyalty. The scene focuses on an object being placed on a table with a soft clink. Surrounded by 3 large white cats, Rodrian recounts how assassins unfortunately interrupted their feeding time. He reveals what the snow cats brought back after chasing down the final assassin: a golden signet ring. He adds that his cats also killed the one who sent the assassin and holds up the ring, asking the prisoner if he recognizes it. The prisoner recognizes the Viscount's signet ring in horror and demands to know what Rodrian did to him. Thwack Rodrian delivers a swift, silencing kick to the man's chest. As the prisoner crumples, Rodrian coldly states that no more questions are necessary. Now certain it was Viscount Pelusis's plot, Rodrian wonders grimly if the man still desires to marry Chloe. Chloe calls out to Rodrian, who is startled to find her waiting for him outside in the snow. She asks if the intruder confessed, and Rodrian confirms he admitted everything the moment he was shown the Viscount's ring. Chloe stares in shock, demanding to know how Rodrian came to possess Viscount Pelusis's personal ring. Her eyes widen with a dreadful suspicion as she asks if he met with the Viscount. Rodrian clarifies that while he didn't meet Pelusis, his subordinates did, explaining that the Viscount confessed and accepted his punishment. He tells a skeptical Chloe that Pelusis simply had a change of heart, left the ring, and promised never to approach her again. Chloe internally questions Rodrian's story, finding it too convenient that the Viscount's lackey just left meekly. Rodrian maintains a calm, unreadable expression as he listens. Chloe reasons that Rodrian has no reason to lie, and reflects that she seems to always receive his help. She admits to Rodrian that it feels a bit empty, as she didn't expect Viscount Pelusis to give up so easily. Despite feeling relieved and free from her old chains, Chloe knows that traps still lie in wait for her everywhere. With renewed determination, she vows to become stronger to move forward. The scene shifts as a startled Imperial Knight asks what Chloe means. Chloe confronts her knights, questioning their loyalty to the Imperial family and reminding them their sole mission was her protection. She accuses them of failing their one mission and asks if their failure is what they call loyalty. The knights protest, claiming to be an elite unit, but Chloe knows they are merely pawns in Kavala's scheme to station troops in Ronheim. She understands Kavala's strategy, using her escort as a pretext to plant knights in Ronheim for future military operations. Realizing this, Chloe resolves that she must leave the Imperial Knights behind while she has the chance. She demands to know where they were when the intruder appeared, scolding them for only arriving after she screamed. Chloe turns to a silver-haired officer, asking for his assessment of the Imperial Knights' actions. The officer confirms Her Highness is correct, stating the Imperial Knights abandoned their posts and failed to help search for the intruder. Chloe concludes that their role seems to be obstructing her protection, not providing it. The Knights desperately insist they were ordered by the Empress to protect her, prompting Chloe to ask her maid, Vanessa, for her opinion. Chloe questions if she can trust such incompetent knights on the journey, taking Vanessa's silence as agreement. Facing the knights, she declares she can no longer entrust her safety to those who abandoned their duty. She turns to the silver-haired officer, addressing him as Sir Howard. Chloe announces her decision to entrust her escort to the Knights of Ronheim from now on. With a pleasant smile, she asks Sir Howard if her request is acceptable. Sir Howard and another officer standing behind him are visibly surprised by her decision. Sir Howard gracefully accepts, bowing and promising that she can leave everything to them. The scene transitions to the Empress's lavish quarters in the Oriental Imperial Palace. Lounging in a tub filled with red energy, the Empress wonders why she's being contacted. Certain Chloe hasn't reached Ronheim yet. A magical report informs her of the attack and that Chloe dismissed the Imperial Knights, ruining her plan to station soldiers in Ronheim. She asks an aide about the holy relic, and he reports it appears to be lost, stolen by the butler. The Empress furiously orders the man, Denef, to track down the stolen goods through auction houses and the black market. She delivers a chilling warning to Denef, threatening him not to disappoint her and to bring back the relic immediately. Denef bows his head in submission, quietly answering, "Yes, sister." The next morning at the inn, Chloe searches for Rodrian in the snow. She spots Rodrian talking with Viscount Creef and happily exclaims that she's found him. Seeing Rodrian's warm smile, Chloe thinks to herself that he seems to have a kind and considerate side. His kindness reminds her of someone named Cal, making her think the two resemble each other. As she continues to stare, Rodrian notices her and she realizes their faces look more alike the longer she looks. She explains that he just looks very similar to a friend of hers. Blushing, she blurts out that his resemblance to her friend is the reason she keeps staring. Surprised, Rodrian asks if she's referring to the precious friend she mentioned before. He smiles, asking to hear more about her friend later, and Chloe shyly agrees. Wondering why he's so curious about Cal, she quickly changes the subject and asks about their carriage. Rodrian informs her they will be riding horses from now on, to which a shocked Chloe replies she doesn't know how. Rodrian simply offers her a gentle, reassuring smile. Chloe looks on, feeling a mix of apprehension and surprise. Several days later, their party travels on horseback through a vast, snowy mountain range. Riding safely with Rodrian, Chloe marvels that people live in such a rugged and remote place. She looks up with a peaceful and curious expression. The chronicles describe Lonheim as a minor kingdom, perpetually covered in snow for most of the year. It was a land of nomads, sought by the Empire not for its barren lands, but for its legends of treasure and immortality. As they travel, a thought narrates the strangeness of the breathtaking landscape. Callias and Chloe ride through a vast, snowy mountain range that feels like a realm of legend. Chloe is pulled close against Callias, answering him with a startled, "Yes?" Noticing her quietness, Callias offers to entertain her with some light conversation, which she questions. He suggests they talk about one of her friends, catching Chloe completely by surprise. When Callias mentions she's spoken of her sword friend recently, a flustered Chloe asks why he's bringing it up. Callias smirks, noting her reaction confirms his observation, and she sheepishly agrees. Chloe is stunned when Callias muses that her friend must be among the finest men he's ever seen. She flinches, realizing with a start that the Marquis reminds her so much of her friend. Panicking that he will misunderstand her reaction, Chloe is flustered when he pointedly asks, "Among the finest?" Callias smiles playfully, saying he is now very curious to see the face of this person he supposedly resembles. He laughs heartily and asks if he played his part well, leaving Chloe utterly embarrassed. Chloe thinks his smile makes the resemblance even stronger, though her friend never teased her this way. She recalls her friend's wholehearted support for her marriage, which makes Callias' expression turn serious. Gripping the reins tighter, Callias asks if she's been in touch with him recently, and she confirms it. He admits he wondered if her friend was an acquaintance of his, but her recent contact proves him wrong. Chloe smiles, assuring him her friend has no connection to him, and seemed unaware of the Marquis. With a hardened gaze, Callias internally questions Chloe's words before asking what her friend said about their marriage. Chloe happily recounts that her friend was, of course, very surprised by the sudden news. She recalls with a bright smile that he ultimately gave her his blessing for the marriage. Callias' tone grows sharp as he asks if that was all, leaving Chloe confused by his question. A tense silence hangs in the air as Callias stares ahead with a deeply troubled expression. Chloe's heart pounds as she notices the strange look on Callias' face, one she's never seen before. Sensing the tension, Chloe quickly changes the subject, asking him to tell her more about Lonheim. Holding her close, Callias laments that he has no friend who has ever told him about Lonheim. With a gentle smile, Callias agrees to her request to tell her about his home. The scene shifts, marking a new chapter in their journey through the vast, snowy peaks. Callias expresses concern as Chloe pants, suggesting altitude sickness and the need for a rest, which she apologetically accepts. He then informs a weary Chloe that conveniently someone has arrived to greet them. A small figure in a parka waves enthusiastically from a snowy ridge, calling for them to come this way. A child named Bihar of the Utar tribe beams at them, joyfully exclaiming that they have returned. As Chloe notes, the greeter is a child. Callias explains that Bihar belongs to Lonheim's nomadic Utar tribe. Bihar jumps with excitement, declaring he always volunteers so he can be the first to greet the king. Bihar smiles brightly, clearly overjoyed to see Callias. Bihar wishes for the new queen to bring prosperity, leaving Chloe stunned at being called royalty. Callias explains that Lhasa, the tribe's seer, foresaw their arrival, and Chloe acknowledges the information. As Bihar admires Chloe's beauty, Callias explains the nomads' refusal to accept Arental's rule is why they still call him king. Callias sternly reprimands Bihar for addressing him as king in front of the princess of Arental. Bihar defends himself, stating he calls him king all the more because the princess is their new queen. Callias' sharp question about why he hasn't apologized to the princess makes Bihar flinch. Bihar immediately bows low and offers a panicked, heartfelt apology to Her Highness. As Bihar apologizes for his habit, Chloe feels it's wrong to scold a child, but knows she cannot intervene. Chloe gently advises him to be mindful in the future, worried what Kavala might do if rumors spread. Changing the subject to ease the tension, she asks about his adorable black lamb, causing a hopeful Bihar to wonder if he's forgiven. Bihar explains that Lady Lhasa suggested she might need a guide, so he brought the lamb he tends. Callias elaborates that their path forward is veiled by icy crevasses so deep they are called the Rift of Death. He explains that the Uttar's mountain goats can sense these hidden dangers, and Lhasa sent this one as a gift to protect them. Callias finds it strange that Lhasa sent a young goat instead of a seasoned one, but Chloe smiles, saying it will lead them to rest. A still somber Bihar quietly agrees as his lamb bleats beside him. Bihar and his lamb lead the way as Chloe and Callias ride through the breathtaking mountain pass. Chloe gazes at the scenery, her expression one of pure awe and wonder. She internally marvels that the beauty of the landscape surpasses all words. Callias explains the lake is formed from glacial melt where colors shift daily, which piques Chloe's curiosity. He describes how the lake glows turquoise, deep blue, or even jade depending on the sun. Chloe leans against Callias, catching him by surprise as she says every day feels new since meeting him. Smiling gently, Callias tells her to think nothing of it as she rests her head against him contentedly. They approach a nomadic settlement of yurts nestled in the snowy valley. A tribesperson announces that just as Lady Rasa foretold, the king has arrived with his bride. Callias greets a woman named Rasa, who welcomes them, saying she was awaiting their arrival. Rasa serenely states that the gods themselves have sent her to deliver a message to them. Addressing him as her king, Rasa reveals that the object he has long sought is finally close at hand, leaving Callias stunned.